Hey, it's Jack from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. In this edition of Ask Jack, we're going to ask ourselves, what do you do if you failed the exam by just a little bit? What's our strategy for the next time you take the exam? So Tom writes, good morning, Jack. Let me know what you would do if you failed the first try at the test by just 3 questions, and now you want to make sure that you pass test number 2. Well, Tom, you've got questions and I've got answers. Let's get into it. First off, Tom, this is a really common question, I think, from a lot of people, so I'm so glad. I think you chatted me up over the weekend with a similar question. If that was you, I think so. Anyways, let's get to the number one thing you should do. If you do not pass the exam service provides you with what they call a score report, which has about 8 or 9 different subject headings, and they tell you how you did. They'll say, math, you got 5 out of 6 of the questions right. They'll give you a ratio, so to speak. Look at that score report, and can you identify a certain subject matter that you didn't do as well as you could have? You did fairly well on the other ones, but there may be like 2 subject matters that you could have improved upon. That, right off the bat, may have been the extra, you just needed 3 more answers, the extra 3 answers that you could have needed to have passed the exam if we just study a little bit harder on those topics. So that's where I'd start right off the bat with the score report. Remember, just as a backdrop, the exam is in 2 sections. You need to get nominally a 70 on each section. They're judged independently. So the first section is the national portion of the exam. That's about 80 questions. Need to get a 70 on that. And then there's the Massachusetts portion of the exam. And that's only 40 questions, and you need to get a separate grade of 70 or better on that. If you pass, they don't tell you what your grade is. They just say that you passed. So it's either pass, fail, and if you fail, they'll give you the failing score. But if you pass, no score. And you don't really care at that point. You're just like, thank God I passed. Right? But they don't give you the passing grade because they don't want you to be able to reverse engineer the exam in any way, shape, or form. It's for exam security. I totally understand, and I agree with that policy. The second thing, and I just kind of alluded to this very quickly a moment ago, is that a lot of people, when they take the exam, they're like, okay, first off, I had to listen to Jack for 40 hours, right? And you just want to get your license. Like, you show up at the exam center and you're like, can't you just give me this license? And you're thinking that the goal is to, we got a little focus problem there. You're thinking that the goal is to leave the exam center. That's not the goal. The goal is to pass the exam. And so in the next section here of this video, I want to talk about the strategy that you can apply to put yourself in the position to win to pass the exam. Let's go to the chalkboard. Okay, Tom, so here we go. The national portion of the exam is 80 questions. They give you 2.5 hours. So the goal, again, is not to be done with the exam. It's to pass the exam. So go through the 80 questions, 1 through 80. Answer each of them as you go along. Even if you don't know the answer or if it's just a guess, answer each of them as you go along. This is going to make taking the exam a lot more efficient, and it will save you time, which is the goal here. So answer as you go along. If you don't know the answer to the question, or you're just kind of taking a guess, or it's like, ooh, that's a really difficult question, there is a bookmark feature. I'm going to call it a bookmark feature, save for later. I think bookmark is a good use of word. There's a bookmark feature in the exam software that allows you to bookmark the questions that you have difficulty with. So out of 80 questions, I don't know, maybe you have difficulty with 6. So you can bookmark those. And when you bookmark them, that allows you to come back to them more efficiently. You don't have to go searching for the ones that you had difficulty with. The software will bring those up for you fairly efficiently so that you don't waste time flipping through question after question, going through the ones that were easy. You get what I'm saying. You can be efficient. So at the end of the 80 questions, it's highly likely most test takers still have, if you look at the clock, and there's a clock and a calculator built into the exam software. If you look at the clock, you still probably have not exhausted your 2.5 hours. Therefore, you can use the exam software to go over the difficult questions that you bookmarked. Because you know what they are, because you bookmarked. You get the point. And therefore, you can spend some quality time on those questions that you had difficulty with. Once you're done with that, you can then look at the clock or into the exam software and see how much more time you might have, like up to another half an hour or something. And therefore, you can go over the rest of the questions that you thought were easy. And by doing that, by exhausting the entire 2.5 hours on the national portion, you're putting yourself in the best position to pass that section of the exam. And that's super important because once you finish the national portion, you can't go back to it. Oh, right, you can't go back to it. So once you're done with that, you have to move forward to the Massachusetts portion. And you can use the exact same strategy on the Massachusetts portion. Answer each question as you went along. There's only 40. You get less time. It's an hour and a half. Bookmark the handful of questions that you had difficulty with. And then when you get to the end of the 40, you're going to see, oh, I still have some time left. Spend some quality time with the bookmarked questions. If you still have time after you've bookmarked and reviewed the bookmarked questions, then you can go over all the other ones that you thought were easy, and then still use all the time they give you. Keep reviewing. Remember, the purpose is never to have to come back to the exam center. Not to be done, but to never have to come back. And then you can put yourself in the best position to pass the exam. Using these strategies will put you in charge of the exam so that you feel more comfortable taking it. You feel that you're kind of empowered. You have a strategy. You know where you're going with this thing. And that means you're not going to have to rush through the question. You don't have to rush because, of course, you've heard me say this before, speed kills, right? Speed kills. And, right. So remember, a lot of the questions that people get wrong is because they sped through the question. Instead, like I do this all the time. This is probably the worst thing. When I read the question, I get like 2/3 of the way through and like, oh, I know the answer. And of course, at the tail end of the question, they were actually looking for like the inverse of what I was thinking. But because I'm so smart, I just read the first 2/3 of the question and I outfoxed myself. And you do that when you're rushing. But if you're in charge of the exam, if you have a strategy, you won't feel the impetus to rush, and you'll feel that you'll have enough time because you have a strategy. All right, Tom, this was a great question. There's probably many more things. We'll make some more videos, but this is it for today. You got questions, I got answers. I'm Jack from Jack Gately Real Estate and the Online Real Estate Academy. Have a great day.